Today I want to show you a new plugin that I just made, and I'm working on this for a few weeks now. It's called Polarity MD, and Polarity, that's me of course, and MD stands for Multiband Dynamics. So this is a 4-band dynamics with upwards, downwards compression per band, of course, and clipping. And it works on every major system with all kinds of formats, VST3, clap, and LV2 later on. It's coming. I already compiled it on my Mint system. So yeah, this is basically a 4-band OTT, and we also have additionally on top on the input signal also here a clipper and a compressor upwards downwards, and also a clipper on the output upwards downwards. And then we have 4 bands instead of 3 bands for an OTT. So on each band we have then additionally also a clipper and upwards downwards compression. So you can make stuff really loud, really easily. Yeah, and it's completely free. You don't need an account, no telemetry, no iLog, works on all major platforms, Win, Mac, OS, Linux, all formats, VST3, clap, LV2. So that's the plan. I put you the link in the description below, and then you can download here the binaries, and it's in beta at the moment, so you can try this out, and please give me feedback, of course, if you run into some bugs, and I will fix it over the next coming few weeks. And this will stay for free forever. So this is not like going away or anything like this. You can download this always, and I try to make it as good and as pleasing as possible. Okay, so this is the website, link is in the description below, and I want to show you, of course, how it sounds here in Bitwig. This is how it looks like. And in the back end, it's completely C++, and it's based on JUCE, so it should work pretty well actually on all systems. And the front end, or the GUI, is actually in HTML and CSS. So this, of course, sounds a bit weird, but it's also pretty dope because it works on all systems out of the box. You don't need to have some kind of specific GUI framework to make it work on all systems. Here I just use HTML and CSS, and it works perfectly fine. So in the background I have a drum bass track here. This is on the drum bus, more or less. And you can already see here, this is the incoming signal. It's called pre. So this is the full range signal, all frequencies coming into the plugin. And you have here an input knob where you can change the input gain and push this more or less into the clipper here. The clipper is at 0 dB. So it clips everything away, and you can see that it clips when you have here this red line going on. This is clipping. And if you don't like to see here this red line and you want to hear it, you can also now click here on this clipping indicator, which shows you more or less with the level how much you clip. So when we clip this here a lot, you can see a lot of red coming in. But you can also just click this, and then you hear a delta signal. It's only the drums. Right, so instead of relying on these visuals here, you can just hear it. And this delta signal is then passed directly to the output, so it's not going through all of these individual splitters here. It's going directly to the output, so you can always hear how the delta signal sounds like on each band or on each process. Okay. So we can already here clip the signal a little bit, and then we have here also downwards compression. We can pull this down. You can see in yellow here how much it actually compresses the signal if you want to. You can also change the upwards threshold. You can see in the background here in blue how much the signal is actually amplified or increased in loudness. So it's more or less color coded. That's what I want to say. So if you see yellow here on the plugin, it's downward compression. If you see this blue stuff, then it's upwards compression. If you see red, it's clipping. And then we have here the amount knob, which is, or it changes the ratio basically of all these compressors here, of the upwards compression and the downwards compression ratio. You can dial in here to 0%. So we have no ratio at all. So it's more or less the pure input. Right, you can also see here then upwards compression and downwards compression is applied with 100%. Then there's here, of course, a global threshold for the downwards compression and a global threshold for the upwards compression if you want to change this here, right? And it's only applied to the 4 bands, not to the pre and post FX here. Also downwards compression. And we have a time scale. This more or less scales the attack and release times all the time. You can make it very fast. Okay, you can also see here the output. The input we have here minus 14 LUFS and output is minus 9 LUFS. So you can also decide how much you want to compress something to get your desired target level or whatever. We can also change the input here on each band if you want to. Maybe we open this up here on the master. Let's use it actually here. Yeah, we can also see here the downwards compression, how much there is compression going down, upwards compression. So you can dial in exactly how much compression you want. For me, I just do it very subtly here. I just dial in a lot of amount because you should hear how the effect is, of course. But in a real project, you don't want to dial in that much compression here. You can also see always here how much there is clipping applied and so on. So I try to make it as visual pleasing as possible to give you all the information you need to compress your signal. So this one is best on the master, of course, and on drum buses, or if you mix here the drums and the bass together, so drum and bass bus, that's where this is probably best put to use, in my opinion. You can also change, of course, here the frequency crossovers if you want to. I have here some presets for mastering, which is 120 Hz, 1K and 5K, even octaves, so each octave has the same content. Typical OTT crossover frequencies 88 and 2.5 kHz, and then here an additional top band for the hi-hats, something for the drum bass. Yeah. Also reset button if you want to reset it to the initial settings. So all kinds of different things. It's because it's a web page, I made it so it's kind of behaving like a web page. So if you make this smaller, you have bigger visuals here. You can scroll. So yeah, maybe I do it like every other plugin where you can, scale it up or down so it becomes bigger or smaller. But for now, I think it's pretty fine how it is. Yeah, it's not like a completely new plugin or anything you haven't seen before. But I always wanted to have like a 4-band OTT, but also additional clippers on each band. Also in the background here for the clipper, right? The threshold is always on 0 dB. That's how I like it. There's actually in the background a control where we can change the clipper threshold, but I just, kind of made it hidden here in this interface because it became too convoluted in having all these knobs all the time. I always thought about removing even more knobs and just dial in some good settings, because most people just want to put this on a master, dial in the amount, dial in maybe the scale, and then call it day. that's what I wanted. And I think if you put this here on a track, it should sound okay and fine almost from the get-go, and it should make things louder. And you can see where the problems arise, right? So something here, it's not clipping here, it's maybe clipping, right? So you can see, oh, there's a lot of content here in the mid-range, because here it's clipping, here it's not clipping. Here's a lot of upwards compression applied. Here's a lot of upwards compression applied. Maybe I want to add more content in this range, right? So you can also use this as a guide, what's going on in your track, where you need to do some changes in your master or in your mix down. Like I said, I try to dial in the best possible default settings for the plugin, so you just put it on and have good outcome. But yeah, so this is how it looks like, how it sounds. Polarity MD, completely free. This is my stupid face, so you know it's my plugin. Maybe don't clip it here. And then the output here, of course, it's clipping a lot, but so you can basically do clip to 0 if you want to, because we have 4 bands, and you just push all these bands into the clipper, clip it slightly, right? And then you get a very loud output here. As you can see, it's -5 LUFS at the moment, because we just pushed here each of these bands slightly into the clipper. Maybe we don't want to clip it too much here on the beginning. Yeah, you can damage your audio track pretty easily, but you can also make it very loud, okay? And then dial back the amount here. Yeah, I just want to show you this. It's in beta at the moment. There are probably some bugs. I have problems with the macOS build. Someone said the macOS build is running. Clap is not running on macOS, but VST3 is running. But you probably run into signing problems maybe, because I don't have a Apple developer account. I don't have a MacBook at the moment. I compile everything on GitHub. But it kind of works on macOS, VST3 and AU. On Windows, you can see it's running here for me pretty nicely. I also tried it out on Linux already with VST3 and Clap, which is also running. Maybe you have an older Linux build. I don't know what you run. It's probably running well on Ubuntu and Mint. I'm using Mint. Yeah, let me know in my Discord if you run into some bugs, problems, or maybe drop it down in the comments down below, and we figure it out. I want to make it as easy and nicely running as possible on all systems. So hit me up with the problems, maybe give me some feature requests, but I want to keep it at this kind of feature level. Maybe I implement some additional things. This clipper here, this was some kind of suggestion from one of my Patreons, which I found pretty nicely to add. But yeah, if you have some more ideas, let me know. The interface, I know it's not the most beautiful, visuals. But I have a designer running already, doing some stuff in Figma. So let me know what you think. And yeah, that's the plugin called Polarity MD. And of course, I'm planning to do more plugins maybe in the future, but this was just a test. I'm working on this for a few weeks now, and I want to put it out. Let me know what you think. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you next video. Bye.